maybe.
If you went back and looked at last game, what stood out about that big shot?
I think it's just the timing, the trust, him doing what he's been able to do, for so many years. But just, him being able to step in with confidence. He hadn't made a shot the 3 all game, and that was the one big one. And I thought that was just great for our guys, great for the group, great for our fans.
You talked about momentum and things like that, probably catapulting the team. Is that real? Can a win like that catapult?
It can. I mean, it can change the energy of the group, but also knowing, you have a, tough run coming up. So making sure that you're still doing the things within that game that you did within that game to get you the lead, going down the stretch. Mike Brown defensive teams, they continue to be aggressive. They continue to be active, pushing the pace more, balls moving, balls popping around, different lineups, different coverages that he'll place them in. But again, Mike Brown coach team always does a great job with them, and just they're sharing it, they're moving, their veteran experience continues to take over. I think we've got to do a much better job containing the basketball. Teams are playing faster, putting their head down, attacking, getting downhill. That we've got to just do a better job of, understanding the personnel and then being able to keep them out of the lane, but also being able to get out to shooters at the same time.
So correct me if this connection is totally unfounded, but last year you guys were just such an unbelievably physical defense, and you just kind of suffered the foul rate that came from that. Just kind of this year, you guys are kind of in the middle of the pack foul rate. Is that something that you talk about? Are you trying to foul less, and is that taking having another effect? Do you feel like that's just an act of physicality? What is your guys' relationship between that physicality you have and the high foul rate?
I think we've got to be smart about it, and we go back and look at it a ton. The difference in being physical before that ball breaks the 3-point line. If we can be as physical there, out on the court versus when that ball gets in the lane, the swipe downs, the and ones, the cheap fouls, if you want to say, we've got to be smarter there. And I think that's a big portion of how we can continue to improve. Physical when necessary, show your hands late.
Coach, obviously, Knicks undefeated here at MSG. That's something that you guys talk about possibly being the ones to end that streak. And what makes playing here so difficult?
No, I really think it's just we focus on us. He's going on the road, us coming together, being together, continuing to work with each other more than anything. Obviously being undefeated at home is, great for them, but our ability just to focus on what we need to do to come out and just get the win, not necessarily where it is, but just how we can just come together and get that done.
Mike was just in there saying that you guys are better than the record that you guys have had so far. Obviously, a couple goals still. What are you seeing from your team that might make that true, that you guys are better than what your record says right now?
Our second 6 games is better than our first 6. I think that was a big portion of it. Guys finding a way to click together, both offensively and defensively, putting some new pieces together, having that chemistry flow, and in the last 6, us being able to kind of put that together a little bit more, being able to trust, the past, our defense getting lined up where we're supposed to be, new pieces, guys not being on minutes restrictions anymore. I think those things all play a part, but our ability to just continue to talk through and work through these games. I think it's a great matchup. I think the expectations of the outside is always going to be there no matter what we say. But our ability to just focus on our game plan and how we're trying to approach this game is going to be more important. Our guys know exactly how they can play, how good this team has been playing, and how we're trending.
When you guys put Paolo and Franz in actions together, because they're often guarded by such similar guys, so often just ends up being a switch, which is harder to get threes against. How do you try to combat that, and how much of that effect, which is just the case of having 2 really good big forwards, how much of that effect do you think affects your guys' lower 3-point range?
Yeah, I think teams switch us because they want to stall out, and they both know those guys get downhill very aggressively and get to the paint. And so a lot of it is we talk about the screening angles because if we know teams are switching, where you set the screen is going to be very important. Sometimes you set it, sometimes you slip, sometimes you set a low angle in order to create a problem, because now Paolo rolling to the rim creates a wake, and now that opens it up for others. Same thing with Franz. Those guys are great in the pocket. So our ability to manipulate it with the angles of the screen more than it is them setting it to get the switch is also very important.
A lot of people say to win the league, and the Knicks have OG and what do you see in them and how they work together? What makes it so difficult with them?
Their scoring ability. I think, obviously OG is the #1 three-point corner shooter in the league. So his ability to knock down shots, how he guards, his physicality. Same with Mikal. I think he does a great job defensively. All over, and his scoring ability just the same. And they've got a chemistry about the team that they've been together. They know each other very well, and each one of them has accepted their role and what they're needed to do here. So I think that makes for a great wing combination.
How do you see Brunson being used differently than maybe he was in Dallas or Thibodeau's tenure?
Obviously his usage rate is down. I think it's from 18th to, or from 5th to 18th now. I just think he's moving differently without the basketball. They run a lot different actions where he's coming off the handoffs on the backside versus him bringing the ball up the court the entire time. Just his ability to be off the ball and then playing off of closeouts, which is tough for him because now he's got some rest as he gets the ball back in his hands, so he's able to attack you at full speed versus having to bring up and run it the entire time.
Coach, last 2 seasons you guys had really strong seasons, took that step forward. In your experience, what makes it harder sometimes to take that further step into kind of like the top of the league, especially with a young team, the youngest roster in the league?
I think you just got to go through the experience. I think that's a big portion of it. You have to go through the experiences of gaining something every year. First round has been these past 2 years, but then you got to figure out what it takes to get to that next piece. And sometimes it is adding the piece, but the guys going through that experience throughout the year is going to be very important. These games can get you battle tested for those scenarios, and I think the more we can embrace that, acknowledge that, and understand it, that's how these guys gain the experience to know how they can take that next step forward.
Coach, real quick, 2 for me.
You just gonna go from there to there, huh?
Well,
Okay. I got it.
Last game, thrilling. The
Yeah.
finish. Emotional hangover, be what it may, but what did you guys kind of take away from that battle-tested game as you moved into it?
Now we've got to be better down the stretch. Because there was a lead that we had, and that team did a great job of coming back. So understanding time, score, possession, how we want to play, the things that we want to get into. They did a great job of executing. Our guys did a great job of executing down the stretch. But then we can still be better. And so knowing that you can get that game done, that you have guys that can make big shots, make big plays, that they're not afraid of the moment. But it's also where we can continue to improve, because we will be in a lot of those games. But knowing that we have guys that will step up into that moment, both offensively and defensively.
And I know last year, Paolo obviously navigated the injury, but didn't get to see the Knicks at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally am excited about this matchup. But what do you think suits him well in this matchup?
One, it's his birthday, so that's a start. 2, he loves this city. I think he does a great job knowing where his matchups are. Different guys that are going to guard him. They may put Cat on him. They may put OG on him. They could put Mikal on him. They're going to change the matchup all over the place. And he's seen different coverages. So I think that his ability to recognize those coverages is going to be very important. And he's locked into that all the way.